Hi, welcome back, my dear student. Now, I want you to understand something. This is not a Express course, so we're not going to be digging too deep into Express, but I want you guys to at least understand the fundamentals of Express in case you see it. So maybe later on we'll build an application with Express and show you some of the more advanced features. But right now, just keep in mind that I'm trying to show you as much as possible about Node. Okay, so this is just another section of our course called Express. Um, and if it's not named Express, well, you have some Express knowledge now. Okay, but anyway, so one thing that I want to show you here besides this middleware is that we can, like I said before, we can install all the middleware, other middlewares, and use them. And I also feel like I should give you a little bit more example of this application here, of this functionality that we're doing here with this middleware, converting, serving our um, static content or static files in the public directory. I want to give you another example, and I want to give you another more examples on executing or consuming post data, okay, with parameters, which is super important. So let's go ahead and create another file. I'm gonna name this express post data.js. It's just that I think it's very useful for you guys to understand this. Plus, I want to show you a new module that is super important. So I'm just gonna require Express because that's the first thing that we need to require. And as a matter of fact, let's go and create, let's grab this and copy it here. And I'm just gonna delete a couple things from here. We don't need this. And I'm gonna leave this the way it is right now because I just want you to see this is just a middleware. This is another middleware here that we're using. And now there's another module that I want to download and I want to show you. It's called the body parser. That's going to allow us to parse post data. Okay, so let's come back here and let's clear this out. So npm install body parser, just like that. Now in the case of Node, earlier versions, we had to pass in the hyphen safe just to keep that in mind that we don't have to do that now. After Node 5, some versions after 5, I believe after 5, we don't have to include that hyphen safe. Okay. But anyway, that's just to include the packages in package.json. It would do it by default now. I think I told you guys about that. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that that's the way it is. Okay, so let's actually use this module real quick. Body parser. And because by default Express does not parse post data. Just keep that in mind, okay? That's something that we need to do. So I'm going to insert some more middleware here. And if I use body parser by itself, I think that's deprecated. Let's go ahead and check it out real quick. Node Express. Let's do Node man. Express post data, enter, and it's just gonna tell me, oh, that it cannot find the body. Oh, it's called body parser. There we go. All right, so it does says that body parser, the individual function, is deprecated. We used to, we could have passed the whole thing before. Now it's saying use the JSON URL encoded option, and it gives you some information there. So we can use that JSON, okay, just like that. And here we can, let's just use it this way here and see if that works fine. Okay, so it's telling me that everything is fine now. Let's go ahead and create a form in our public directory here because we're serving static files here, right? So we can create a form if we wanted to. As a matter of fact, I have a form somewhere that I'm just going to copy there. And I just have some bootstrap. So I'm going to call this form.html. And you know what? I'm just going to make this index, guys. Let's refactor this, make this, oops, index.html. There we go. Now if we visit that folder, when we hit, well, we need first of all to come back here and we need to tell it to hit that specific. Well, it's serving our files when we type in the CSS here, okay, which is better to do this assets, okay, and let's come back here. So when we right, let's check this out here where I have this file assets, then I will hit that enter and now we have the form. Okay, of course you can name that public if you like, but anyway, so you see the form here. We try to submit this, we get that. Now this form is making a request already. So if you look at the form, let's study the form for a little bit. We're making a post request here to add user. Okay, um, let's just delete that and make it to post. And now we have this name attribute here that has a value of email. Remember, this is how we carry those variables to our code, and this one would be password. Okay, this is some Bootstrap form that I found somewhere on the Bootstrap website, and I believe this is Bootstrap 4. So let's go, as you can see here, 4. All right. Now, if you try to post this data without the body parser, you will get an error. And I want to show you that before we actually make it work. So that way you can see the difference. So let's start creating the functionality of that request that we should get, right? So we are expecting a post request from a form that's going to be adding a user or something like that, right? Let's give it the callback function and we're gonna get that request and the response. Let's for now console.log it's working or something like that. Let's do template strings. It's working. Let's come back to our terminal here. Let's there we go. So we are expecting a post request. Every time we hit that form, we should see this in the log in the console. And it's going around because we haven't finished that request. And as you can see, it says it's working. So we are doing good. Okay. Now, there's no way for us to parse the data that's coming in. So even though we can access the request, there is nothing that we can access there related to our form, to our post data. So there is a, and there is a, this body parser, let me just tell you right here, adds a functionality to the request called body, which has all the elements of the form that are carried in these values here. Okay, let me show you. So now if I want to console, let's say the request parameters instead of params, right? Because that's in the URL, we use body. But now keep in mind that because we're not using body parser, we have an issue. That's not gonna work. Okay, cannot get post. When I submit this form, enter, it says undefined because this does not exist. But if I use our body parser here, okay, our middleware, let's come back here. Let's make sure that we refresh this page here. Enter, submit, come back here, and you can see that we have some type of object here. So we are getting something now. Before we were not able to get anything out of it. Okay. So if we want to get some data, we need to write a little bit more code here. Now, if I wanted to get the email, right, I would write body.email because in the body, this object here, we have all the properties, all these properties, we have all these values, and they will have the same name. So this will become some type of property in that body object. Okay, and then we just get that object, that email object, back to us. Now, let's come back here. If we do this now, though, we're still gonna get, and let's just refresh back here. Refresh, come back here, write something here, come back. We still get undefined. Okay, let's kill this again, and let's just make sure it's working there. Refresh it. Sometimes you have to do this. Let's come back. Still undefined. Now, this is not going to work unless we use another, okay, another function from the body parser. Put the function called the URL encoded. So I'm gonna do this here, and it's called the URL encoded, and it has this property here called extended. Extended to false. Okay, and now let's go back here. Let's refresh this, enter, submit, come back, and now you can see that we get the email. Okay, pretty cool stuff, guys. Pretty cool. So as you can see here, we were able to parse post data by using this module and inserting it in our application using middleware, right? This middleware feature. So pretty cool stuff, and you're gonna see this in all the applications that you are submitting post data. You are going to see that. Now, if you go back here and you just log the body of the application, you're gonna be able to see a lot more information than what you saw there. So that way you can just play a little bit with it and study that body object. And cannot convert object to primitive value. Okay, let's see if it works like this. Let's come back here, enter. Oops. Oh, service is off. It crashed. Crash again. And of course, that does not need to happen. Let's come back here and enter. And now you can see that big object, that body object, okay? The body object is going to contain all the data from the form. Right now, it's getting the email, okay, object. It's getting an object, and then it's getting these properties. You see that? And look at the values, which is pretty cool because you can do other things with it. And this is what we do when we are using databases, right? We connect to the database, and then we send this information to the database. We send the value of the email, we send the value of the password, and we get the user either registered or logged into the application. Okay, but anyway, so I hope this was a valuable information to you and you learned a lot on this lecture. We're going to continue with this, and We're almost finished. If not, maybe we are finished with this section here. I don't want to go and dig too deep into Express, just because Express is a different animal on itself. It would be an Express course if I continue with Express. I just wanted to show you some of the things that we do. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture or section. See you in the next one.